Kristen, Kyle, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having us. Come on. Just wrapping up our trip, 3 days. And the big takeaway here is I never travel any place just to see one person. So when you sales guys are out there traveling, you need to then try and find 1 or 2 or 3 other people to see. The commodity manager of Electrolux wanted me to text her. That was her preferred method of contact. She was getting 200 emails a day. She said, just text me. This was 5 years ago. I'm like, okay. Literally could get her every time.
What's up, guys? Kyle Milan here with Manufacturing Tribe TV. Today we're at MD&M Minneapolis show.
You're always going to remember that person that was different than everybody else. So let's talk standing out and being unique.
We're back with another episode. We've increased some of our production value, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Brett's got a question. How segmented do you make the emails every 2 to 4 weeks? Are you sending to the broad group of contacts or do you customize? I think that you could do it both ways, but I think in general, everybody needs to see your content. Everybody needs to see something that you're creating and something that you can provide value to.
You can tell a story a whole lot faster in a 3-minute video than you can in a 14-page article or 10 2-page articles.
Everything's about brand awareness and content right now, and it will continue to be that. So focus on producing some sort of content, and if you're selling B2B, which I'm assuming most people here are, focus on LinkedIn.
Number one, we do not charge for this stuff. I put all of my content out there for free. Send it to somebody that you feel may get some value out of it, and also engage. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. We'll get to all of the comments after the break. Those comments mean the world to us because it shows that you guys care. So don't just sit there and watch, but please engage and hit those thumbs on LinkedIn. What is up, guys? I'm Kyle Milan, and it is Monday. And you know what that means? That means that you have sent in questions, and I'm here to answer them. On Monday's show, that's what it is, Q&A. If you have questions to ask, you can send them to askkyle@mfgtribe.com. We pull those in, go through them, throw them up on the screen, I answer them, and then as we're going through the show, anybody that leaves live comments, we try and answer all those as well. For those of you that pay attention to this channel closely, you may have noticed that it's been a few weeks since we've been live. Hopefully you've missed the content. If you did, if you follow the brand close enough and you're like, dude, where you been? Leave a comment in the comment section, especially those on LinkedIn. Just give me a thumb being like, glad you're back. So for the last couple of weeks, as we said, probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, we've got a new office that we're opening up, 4,000 square feet. We've been deep in the mix of that, adding new team members. We've got a new person onto our video team, which you guys will hear more from, which is Laura. And she will be managing these moving forward at the new office, along with Nick, our director of creative. But we're expanding. We're excited for the growth. We're excited for the new studio, which will be roughly 4 times the size of our current studio. And lots of ideas are being thrown out there about what we can do in the space, changes to the show format, more content. Some people are like, dude, we want to see behind the scenes of how you guys work as an agency and be a fly on the wall and things like that. Some stuff we can't show because it's just, we've got NDA signs with customers, but you will be seeing more of that live raw footage. I've even toyed around with the idea of let's go live for like 6 hours in a day and just have people hang out with us while we're doing work. So lots of fun things are going to be coming. But for right now, share it. If you guys get value out of this content, if I answer a question, you're like, dude, you know what? I have that same question, or that helped me out any way possible. Share the show with somebody that you know. Share it with a friend that needs to hear the message or somebody that's struggling with something. Get our brand out there. It helps us because we don't do a ton of promotion for this. And the whole reason why we do the show is to help people, and everything out there is for free. So without further ado, if the team would pull in the first question, we'll get started. So how frequently should I post the same ad flyers on LinkedIn? All right, LinkedIn advertising. LinkedIn advertising as a whole is the best platform, I feel, for anybody to directly and strategically target your demographic. So if you have a service or a product, you can go down the path of Google search, but what if they're not searching? Or what if the search is so broad that you can't really niche and focus on the exact demographic that you want? That's where LinkedIn ads comes in. So this question talking about the creative side behind it, The way that we do it is when we do a LinkedIn ad campaign, the main area that we focus on is the sponsored content. So it's where it's showing up in the center of the feed. What you want to do is at least have two. Typically, we go for 4 different pieces of creative in the campaign that will recycle through over the first 30 days. So what does that mean? Somebody goes to LinkedIn, they're scrolling through their newsfeed. Your campaign is specifically targeting them based on their industry they're in, their job function, their geographic location, whatever it is. Hopefully your ad creative and the copy is good to where it's relevant, right? If you're talking about robotics and you're advertising it to people that are in real estate, it's not going to matter, and you're just wasting clicks and wasting money because LinkedIn advertising is extremely expensive when you compare it to Facebook and Google. But you want to have different creatives in there, not necessarily from an A/B test standpoint, but let's say that we're going to do a graphic, and the graphic's going to show up in the person's newsfeed. And the whole purpose behind the call to action for that is for them to either fill out a form or visit your website or download something like that. You want to try and have 4 different creatives with it, because if they don't click the first time they see it, as they come in a day later, 6 hours later, a week later, you don't want to be showing them the same creative. They didn't click the first time, it didn't catch their attention. Maybe were they overlooking it? Possibly, but in reality, it wasn't eye-catching enough or relevant enough for them to stop, pause, and read it and click it. So you want to have 4 different things in rotation, put them out there. And what we would do is we would look at the end of 2 weeks, at the end of 30 days, we would see which creative is getting the most click-through rate. All right, let's say it's these 2, and these are getting 7%, 8% click-through rate. And the other ones are only getting like 2% or less than 2%. Now, LinkedIn there's an option where you could say, show the ones that are getting clicked the most in the campaign. So LinkedIn will adjust the campaign based on engagement and show those more frequently. But you can look at it and say, all right, these 2 that are the lowest performers, those are out. For month number 2, I'm going to bring in 2 other creative pieces, add those to the mix of 4, and I'm going to show those 4, and then monitor and track it after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks, 30 days, look at what's performing the best, and then kick those guys out. Now, you could go down the path of saying, all right, every month I'm going to have 4 different new creative pieces, and then I'm going to test them all. So I'm going to run a campaign with 4 pieces. I'm going to look at what was it that is the common denominator in these top 2 performers, create 4 new graphics based on your assumption of what it was that made the person click, then create those graphics based on that, try and get all 4 of them to follow that, whatever methodology is, and then push those out there. You're only going to get 1 winner at the end of the day that gets the most clicks. But I always look at the top 2. And then you can kick those out, create 2 more for the second month, third month, so on and so forth, until you've exhausted the campaign and reached your goal. But you really need to recycle that to where you don't want to just have 1 piece out there or 2 pieces out there. I've always found over the last 4 years we've been doing LinkedIn advertising campaigns that 4 is the magic number, because you can get enough of a mix to do A/B testing, not literal A/B testing within the platform, but doing different things to be able to show people those things and then let them decide what is the most engaging piece. So I've always found 4 to be the magic number. It could change. Right now it's 4. All right, Nick, let's throw in the next one. I'm just starting to post company content on my personal LinkedIn page because engagement seems better than on the company page. How much emphasis should I put on each? Oh yeah, I remember that this question came in a couple weeks ago. So the whole thing is that your LinkedIn company page typically doesn't have a ton of followers. Now, if you're working at a big company that's got 60,000 followers on it, this doesn't really fit. But the general strategy should remain the same. What you want to do is post it on your LinkedIn company page because you want to grow those followers. But if you don't have a lot, there's not going to be a lot of engagement. So then from there, what you do is you need to share it to your personal profile. So always, you can invite people to follow your company page. You could do 100 people at a time, 100 outstanding invites to follow your company page. But on the personal side, you can send out 100 connection requests a week. So just look at it from that standpoint. You can grow your personal profile faster than you can your LinkedIn company page followers. So with that being said, I would post the content on the company page, share it to your personal page, add stuff to it, add the right hashtags, do that on a daily basis so people see, oh, this person, and let's say they got 5,000 followers, 500 followers, and they're growing. This person posted this, it's from this company, they work at that company, and then put something there that says, hey, be sure to follow the company page to get this content directly in your newsfeed. That's a great strategy that we've used for years to build up company page followers, is get the people that are boosting up their personal profile to share the content. Now, the flip side of that, you can create the same content on you can take the content from the company page and post on your personal profile. But if at the end of the day, you really want to move people over to follow that company page, because LinkedIn algorithm changes happen all the time. What are they putting first, company page content or personal profile content? So you really want to do a mix of both. And at least to get started and really pushing out there hard, continue to grow your LinkedIn network personally, because that's the tool that you're going to use when the company does post something on the company page. Post it there. And if you're a company of like 3, or you're just getting started, post it on the company page first, have your employees share it, not only like it and comment if you want, but also share it. And then it goes out through your personal profile to all of your network. And then as you continue to grow and scale your network, more people will see that you're posting this every day. It'll come from your company page. They're then more likely to hit that follow button and follow your company page. So it's, I don't want to say do both, but when we first started 6 years ago, it was all about, we want to get followers to the company brand. And then since then, we've adjusted slightly because my reach is so much higher personally than it is on the company page. So there are times that we share content from the company page to my personal profile, but we create so much content that it typically just goes out from my personal profile, and we follow the numbers less on the company side, but we're in a little bit of a different situation. All right, third and final question, then we'll go into the live comments. So if you guys have live comments and live questions, be sure to throw them in there. In my prospecting strategy, how much time should I spend on fish, whales, and sharks? So we've talked about this a lot, and I've answered it a lot, but I feel like what we should focus on is like the can you handle it standpoint. So you could look at my other content about where to focus your attention, but I would say the first thing you have to ask yourself, especially if you're new at a company, can your company handle a giant whale? Can they handle 5 of them? I mean, whales meaning big companies that are going to spend a significant amount of money at your company, whether it's a service or a product that you have. If you focus too much on the whales and you put all your eggs in that basket and 2 or 3 or 4 of them hit and become customers, is that going to drown your company? Because you don't want to be adding clients if their customer experience once they become a client is in the dumps, right? You want to control the growth and you want to be strategic. So I would say you have to assess your current situation, talk to upper management, talk to the owners if you're a smaller business, and be like, all right, look, I've got these 100 giant companies that I know that our solution or that our product, our service can provide a solution to them. I know that they have a need. I want to go after them strategically and do account-based marketing, account-based sales, things like that. But like, what if I get 3 of them and they all sign this month? What will happen? And your owners may be like, and the upper management may be like, dude, it's good. We can handle that. Okay, what's the cap though? What if we get 30 of them to all sign in the first month? And you could do a dance around like, oh yeah, we're going to onboard you, or we can get you that solution, or we're going to send people out there to have meetings or to kick this thing off or whatnot. But you can dance around that a little bit. But if in like month 1, end of month 1, they're not getting the service that they want, the project's not moving along fast enough, then you have to go into it knowing like, we can handle a certain amount of big customers. We can handle a certain amount of medium-sized customers, which are the sharks, and then we can handle a certain amount of small customers. Sometimes those small customers come with a lot of legwork and a lot of time behind it that the employees have to put in to get the project up and running. So don't underestimate the workload that may take. It may be small dollars. Maybe if you're a manufacturing service provider, a fish may be like, hey, look, I've got a $25,000 a year project that I can give to you. Whereas the whale's like, all right, I've got a $2.5 million opportunity for you to provide pricing on. And you may be like, hey, $25,000, that's going to be easy. Sometimes those guys are the hardest to deal with and they require the most attention, whereas the bigger companies require less because they're more methodical with the things that they do. They're used to moving tools or used to onboarding new vendors or things like that. But you really got to look at it from the standpoint of, what can we handle? right? Because the salespeople need to be going after what the company can handle so the company doesn't fail once you get it. So once you figure out what can we handle, you really want to break it down. Like I've said before, you want to focus a certain amount of attention, split it across all three, and say, I'm gonna go after the whales. I know it's a longer sales cycle. I know it's a longer time to when I can close them. So I want to push push those efforts out there as fast as possible because it is longer. Whereas the medium and smaller guys, maybe it takes less amount of time. So you can close them faster. You want to push them and start them all at the same time, but maybe you focus your attention more on the medium-sized companies or the smaller ones because those people you could turn and burn faster. Whereas the whales, it's just consistent nurturing and consistent. Hey, we're here. Here's some content, but it's all going to come around that. Like you got to provide value. So here's some more content. Here's some more content every couple of weeks. Don't forget about them. Don't give up. Just keep on pushing along until you finally break through. But keep in mind, you got to ask the question of what if I get these 10 people, what's going to happen? And if you think that it's going to kill you, then that's not going to be a good situation. So talk to upper management and ownership about that strategy and figure it out kind of together. And then from there, do it every single day and be consistent and go out there and crush it. So we'll take a quick 90-second break and we'll come back and answer any live questions that you guys have. We'll be right back. What if they don't currently have a problem with a process or system? Will the approach still be effective? If they don't have a problem, man, you can't solve it. So if you go into a sales call and you're like, hey, I want to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. You guys have any issues with it? They're like, nope. Don't sell the unsellable. Is homepage content the most important? So that brings up a good point. What you need to look at in your Google Analytics is your top landed pages. And the top landed pages are what page do people first see? And we always look at the top 10. And so is homepage usually the first of the top 10 landed on pages? Yes, it is usually. But it typically only represents no more than 50% of the total traffic that lands on that page first. Is only about 50% go to the homepage. 30, 45 minutes a day working on building out your network. And then I would spend 30 to 45 minutes a day engaging with your network. Assuming that you have deals already in the pipeline, current customers, you have meetings during the week, stuff like that, where it's pulling out your time to where you only have a few hours left over, then that's how I'd split it. Half your time focused on building your network, the other half of the time focused on engaging. All right, guys, we are back. We're going to be going through the comment section. Looks like we've got at least a couple comments. So if you guys have comments and want some answers to these questions before we jump up, you better throw them in. And let me see them blue thumbs on LinkedIn. Mitch DeHaan, what's going on, Mitch? Mitch is always around. Mitch is out there hustling for his company, and he's got a question to add to the link. Man, this type is so small, Nick. I can't wait till we get to the new studio so somebody can read this to me. To add to the LinkedIn connection topic, I found it very valuable to send a connection invite to people first. Once they accept the invite, which tells me they also see some sort of value in being connected with me, I send them an introductory message. Yes, correct, Mitch. That is valuable, and I would agree with it. There's a follow-up, though, right, Nick? Throw up his follow-up. Whether I get a response or not, I send them an invitation to follow our page about a month later. This usually attracts people who do see value in being connected to me personally, but don't know how or currently have a situation project that applies. Yeah, so the key there, Mitch, I would say my question would be, what is your introductory message? Now, I know you're a killer out there and you're hustling. Your introductory message better be short, direct, to the point. Thanks for accepting my invite. Here's a piece of content that we created that I thought you might get value out of. That's it. Do not go into, hey, I work for this company and this is what we do. If you have a need, let me know. I would not go in from any sort of sales pitch first, because that person's going to be like, ooh, damn, I knew I shouldn't have connected with this guy because he's already hit me with the sales thing. But I 100% agree with the approach of like, hey, a month later, 2 weeks later, like send them a message, send them more content. But what it all comes down to is you need to build value first. Right? Sometimes you connect with people and right away they're like, hey, I noticed that you work at this company. I noticed that this is what you do. And so I I have a need actually, right? So anybody in manufacturing or industrial knows that timing is everything, right? So like you could talk to somebody today and they're like, nope. You can talk to somebody tomorrow and they're like, yep. You can talk to that same person in a week. They're like, yep. Or in an hour, they're like, nope. Like it's all over the place. Timing is everything. So you send that connection request. They might be like, hey, actually, I have a project. I saw you do this. Can we have a quick conversation? They're going to pitch you and ask you for a sales pitch to it. But that first message better be super straight to the point. Thanks for the connection. Here's a piece of content, if anything, or just saying thanks for the connection is always appreciated. So that way you could start the conversation, the dialogue that way. So that's a great strategy to have. What else we got, Nick? Because LinkedIn advertising is so expensive, I hate when this stuff comes through blocked. This is our third-party streaming software that does this. What percentage of your advertising budget do you think should be allocated to it versus Google Ads? That is a very good question. It depends on what you're trying to go after. And it also depends on what type of service you have. So we have customers that what they do is I would say highly, from a loose standpoint, right? A highly searched after phrase. Maybe it's 1,000 people, 1,500 people a month are Googling that, which is high in manufacturing industrial, unless you're talking like general things like industrial automation. But for my service guys out there that are doing plastics, urethanes, sheet metal, stuff like that, it's usually not a huge search volume, comparatively speaking. So I would say if there is a decent amount of search volume behind it, you can go after the Google Ads to get those people searching. And I would test it out. Test it out for 30 days, test it out for 60 days, spend $1,000, spend $1,500 and see, are you getting actual qualified leads, qualified traffic? Once they come to your site, the easiest and fastest way to determine if it's good or not is look at your bounce rate on those campaigns. If they come to the site and leave, it's not working. If your campaigns are optimized, and you've got negative keywords in there, you know that you're focusing on that search traffic, then they come to the site and they stay and you're getting like 85% bounce rate. Still, that's not super great. But if you're getting leads, then it's okay. You're going to be paying for the traffic that's not relevant. The biggest issue with Google Ads is you don't know the intent behind why the person is searching. Google can try and say like, oh, if you search this, there's a high level of intent that they're looking to purchase or they're looking to learn. But at the end of the day in industrial, people are doing research studies on it. They're doing papers on it in school. They're looking for competition. They're trying to steal stuff from you, ideas, stuff like that. So like people are going to click the ads that aren't relevant at all. And you're just looking for that small sliver. Now, if you've got $10,000 to spend on advertising, I'd say for the most part, without the exceptions of companies that have a high search competitive area where Google Ads is going to outperform it, I would say LinkedIn advertising is the better bulk of the spend. So maybe do something like 60% on LinkedIn, 40% on Google, or 70-30 split. Keep this in mind though. If you're like, I got $1,000 to spend, that doesn't get you very far on LinkedIn. Even if you're going after plant managers, operations people, HR, stuff like that, like you're going to be spending between $4 and probably $8, $10, $12 a click on LinkedIn doing sponsored posts with the graphics that show up in their feed. That's expensive, right? Now, if your product can justify it and you're okay with spending that amount of money, then drop the whole $1,000 to $1,500 to get movement on LinkedIn. But for your specific situation, I need to know more details, give the exact breakdown. But I would say in general, if you can afford the click rate, if a company that comes to you, if you guys are in manufacturing and it's potentially worth a couple $100,000 contract, $1 million, and you're going after a very strategic, focused niche group on LinkedIn, and your audience is very strategic and you got on lockdown, you'll get more bang for your buck on LinkedIn. But it all depends on what you're selling. So hopefully that helps. Pat says, to make connection for B2B industrial marketing, which positions professionals should be the best who takes buying decisions, specifically in automotive, industrial, mining, and many more. So Pat, it depends on what you're selling, right? So if you're selling, like you got to look at who's the ultimate decision maker. So if the ultimate decision maker is a product development engineer or a director of engineering, that's one path to go down. If it's an operations manager, like who's going to make that decision? Now, I'm not saying go after only that person. You want to say this person makes the decision. Here are departments that can influence that decision and go after those departments as well as the decision maker. But without knowing exactly what it is that you sell, you guys should know who are the ones that are signing the checks at the end of the day, who are the ones that are closing it. If it's engineering, if it's operations, if it's something from a service standpoint, like you're selling commodities, then it's going to be the supply chain group. It's going to be commodity managers, buyers, planners, things like that. But even still, keep in mind, you want to go after the influencing departments and not just the decision maker, because who knows when that person is going to be checking emails, answering their phone, looking on LinkedIn. You don't know that. So you kind of got to go after those other departments and cross-functional teams as well that could influence that decision. Nathan says, how can we tailor our marketing approach to get more inbound leads? That is a general question, Nathan, and I will give you, I'll try and get a specific answer. So to get more inbound leads comes down to, is what you're pushing out there relevant to who's seeing it? And are the people that you want to see it spending time on the platform that you're trying to distribute it? So, and that was just like a mouthful, could have confused some people. So look at it like this way. If you're creative, what you're trying to push out there from a content standpoint is valuable and is relevant to what it is that you guys do and problems that your potential customers have, and you push it out on LinkedIn and they're never on LinkedIn, that's not going to work. If you're only focusing on email marketing and you're getting high bounce rates, you're getting low open rates, low click rates, you know that that's not going to work as a single effective tool. So you kind of got to look at it as like, put yourself in the buyer standpoint and their shoes and say, where are they spending the most time and where can I get attention from them the least, right? If they get 500 emails a day, 200 emails a day, it's going to be tough to break through that. I'm not saying don't email market. You still should, but you need to go into it knowing like this is probably not going to drive engagement the highest right away. So you should do email marketing, but maybe you think like, hey, I could find this audience on LinkedIn and I could be very strategic because you could do all the filtering search. So I'm going to connect with people and send them direct messages with my content. Don't try and sell them, with my content to try and go after that. You can also look at it from the standpoint, well, people are searching, right? So you've got email handled, you've got social handled with LinkedIn. Now you go into search. So people are searching, you either want to pay for it or you don't. So you need to do Google AdWords or you need to focus on your organic SEO. Ideally, you don't want to have to pay for it. That's what we always tell customers. If there's a way for us not to get if there's a way for our customers not to have to pay for a click, we find it by pushing organic SEO, which is going to come down to on-page SEO being fully optimized on the website, make sure that there's no issues on the website, and then creating content that's focused around those keywords, searches, and phrases to draw people in. When they do Google search a topic, you show up first, right? It's crazy that people still, if they're looking for an article, will still click an ad that is somewhat relevant, but not really relevant to their question or the service that they're trying to go for. They'll still click that ad because it's number one. They won't go down 3 positions to the organic. There's still people that do that. But for the most part, people understand these are ads. I want to scroll past those and I want to go into the organic. So you really got to cover the areas of, if they're searching, they need to be able to find you either through advertising or through organic. If they're on social, they need to be able to get stuff from you through LinkedIn, whether it's you pushing in front of them or them searching for something and your company page showing up. I would bet dollars to donuts that you need to focus aggressively on the outbound side to get the brand out there to then drive the inbound. And then you have to look at email marketing. You may consider it outbound, but still they're tied together. Inbound, in order to get good inbound traffic, you have to push the brand out there outbound if nobody knows about it. So you kind of got to focus on both, but they both play off of each other. Inbound marketing can lead to outbound marketing leads. Outbound marketing is going to drive traffic to then be inbound because you want them to go to the website. Then you can be like, nope, that's inbound traffic. So it depends on how you guys classify it. I typically don't like saying inbound versus outbound. I just call it marketing and say we have to be where they search and we have to try and get attention from them as fast as possible and for as little amount of money and time as possible. Sebastian says, in your experience, what's the best and fastest way to get signed up as a vendor for a new customer prospect? Best and fastest. It depends on the vendor. Big boys want you to go through supplier portals and fill out questionnaires, and they want you to go through all this stuff. Smaller people, they don't have roadblocks like that. So, I mean, the best and fastest way to do it is, I would say, don't focus on necessarily like the speed, right? Because if you're going into like, I need customers right now, you're going to be doing short-term plays for short-term solutions. So I would say in general, the best way to market to get new people to become a new supplier or vendor people is going to be, number one, create content. Number two, to the question that I just asked for the previous guy, you need to push that content out on places where they'll actually see it. And then that's it. Once you push content out there, then you need to have salespeople follow up. Hey, did you see this thing I sent you? I've got something more for you. I hope that this will provide value, but do not sell them and go after the from a standpoint of, here's what we do. I think you might have a need. If you do, here's a link to my Calendly, book time to talk with me, right? You want to try and provide as value as much as possible. So you have to push the content out there to where they're located and then follow up and do not stop. Don't be crazy about it. Do it every day. But once a week follow up, perfectly fine. And then mix up the follow up methods, right? If you're emailing them, they're not answering, pick up the phone. If they're calling them and emailing, you're not getting a response, poke them on LinkedIn. If that's not working, find out where they're going to be at a trade show. Do a cold visit to their plant. You have to hit all those together. Marketing helps sales. Marketing doesn't replace sales. So they both have to work together. Marketing's job is to increase the amount of potential inbound leads for the salespeople that go and then close. But they have to work together to where they're both pushing as hard as possible and as fast as possible out there by strategically going after a niche, a geographic area, a job function, a industry, go after it at the same time. That's going to be the best. And it's going to give you results in the short time, but then it's also going to set up you guys for success for the long-term play. Benjamin Cooper, B2B sales rookie here. What's up, Benjamin? Don't worry about it, dude. Everybody's a rookie until they're a veteran, right? Just because you're new to B2B sales doesn't mean you can't learn it and dominate in it in the first year. I was new to B2B sales back when I was 26. And guess what? After like a year or two, I knew exactly what I needed to do. And then I crushed it out there. Nick's giving me the wrap up. Hey, Kyle, I'm new here and really appreciate your content. I just passed out of uni, bachelor, and started working as a sales engineer in Qatar in the water treatment field. What's going on, dude? Thanks for joining. Do you have any tips on getting a job in the U.S.? I plan on moving to U.S. Canada after a few years experience here. Do you recommend doing a master's course? Man, you kids with your questions about schooling. I'm the worst to take advice from. I would say don't do a master's course. Depends, number one, do you want to go into sales? If you want to go into sales, skip the master's. It's a waste of time, waste of money, and try and get into a sales support role, project engineer, something like that, using your engineering degree. How to get a job in the U.S., I have no experience with. I know that there's rules behind companies sponsoring visas and things like that. Maybe Canada's easier. I don't know. So I can't give you comments on that. But I would say what I would focus on right now is getting as much experience as possible. Do not make the decision to go and get your master's degree until you understand the career path you want to go down, because you're going to spend money, get a master's of engineering degree. And if you're like, I don't want to be an engineer anymore, I want to go into sales or something else, it's a waste of time and money. It's not going to get you, like, I feel like people go after master's programs these days just to get an extra like $10,000 a year in their salary. Or maybe it's just to be able to say, hey, I've got a master's. I don't know. But if you're staying in engineering, maybe that's useful. I would look at jobs and what they require. Do they say 3 to 5 years work experience, or do they say you need a bachelor's and a master's, and I don't care how long you've been working for? I would look at jobs that you want to have in the future, then reverse engineer that and plan your career path, especially with your education, based off of that, and look for those jobs in the US and Canada. Ben says, that's why I'm here. Yeah, brother. Follow the content. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. This is all we talk about: B2B sales, B2B marketing. It's for industrial and manufacturing companies, technical sales engineers, people in software and things like that. But in theory, you could take this whole program, the whole way that I do it, the way that we teach people to do it, and help them, and apply it to literally any B2B industry. And maybe there will be more of that to come in the future with content specifically for people like you. So hopefully, Benjamin, you're in industrial. And if you're not, you should be in it, because that's where you make an insane amount of money. So that's it for the show today, guys. I'm glad I got a chuckle out of Nick instead of just wrapping me up. That's it for the show today, guys. Guys, as always, we go live twice a week, unless Kyle is busy building out the new facility. We go live twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays is all about Q&A. You guys send the questions over to us. Nathan says, love the YouTube. Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it, man. I better see you subscribe. I'm going to be looking after the show, and I better see you subscribe to the channel, brother. So we go live twice a week. Mondays is all about Q&A. Send your questions into askkyle at mfgtribe.com, and we will pull them up. And then we go live and answer questions live for you guys. Wednesdays is all about sales and marketing. We pick a topic. I talk about it for 30 minutes. You guys engage, come to the show. They're both at noon Central Standard Time on Mondays and Wednesdays. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, follow me on LinkedIn, send me a connection request, and just send all the love you guys can to people that need to know this information. Share it with them so we can keep getting our message out, and we will see